All right, you all. So today we have Kristine Byrum from the Ohio State University College of Dentistry. Kristine, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well as I can be, with all everything
Exactly.
that's going on. But okay, let's go ahead and get into it.
Awesome.
So if you could, please give us a brief summary of your dental school journey. So where you went to undergrad, what you major in, what school did you go to, and did you take a year off?
Okay. So I'm born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, but I went to Walsh University to get my bachelor degree. It's up in Northeast Ohio, small school. I double majored in biology and interdisciplinary studies, which was kind of like my way of diving into literature and psychology and history. And I did not take a year off between undergrad and dental school.
Okay. So I want to ask you. I know that a lot of pre-dents like to make sure that the faculty at the dental school kind of knows their face, just so they can like show their interest in the school or whatever it may be. Are there any pre-dental like activities that pre-dents can get involved in just to kind of show face at the school?
Okay. I know Ohio State offers like an official pre-dental day every year, where, as I understand it, anyone from anywhere can come and like see Ohio State that day, tour the dental school, see the sim lab, and they kind of do this thing where you pair up with a D1 or a D2 student, and you can drill on a typodont tooth. You can take impressions and pour up, something in stone. So that was kind of a little exercise they offer there. And then, of course, they have a question and answer session with the administration and like our student affairs. So kind of get any questions that they have regarding Ohio admission process there. And then I know for specific Ohio State undergrads, they kind of try and pair up with the dental school when it's available and do like a waxing night where they learn to like wax a tooth or drilling. But I think those are specific for Ohio State undergrads.
Okay, awesome. And so I also know that for you to go straight from undergrad to dental school, you had to have a pretty decent GPA and do pretty decent on the DAT. And so a lot of pre-dents always ask us, like what is our number one tip with regards to doing well on the DAT? And so I want to kind of ask you, what would be your number one tip?
Okay. So I kind of rushed my DAT.
Yeah.
I was at the end of my junior year, I was going to study abroad in Rome the next semester, and I was doing my undergraduate thesis proposal. So I had a lot going on. So I
Mhm.
wouldn't recommend this. It worked out for me, but I would not recommend this for anyone. I ended up studying about 3 weeks, and it was like you wake up, study, eat lunch, study. I ended up doing fine, but I would spread it out, let yourself not just memorize the material, but really let it sink in, be able to, still have, free time during the day that you're studying because you do need time off too. Like you can't just be looking at stuff over and over again. But I would say I used Kaplan and I found that a lot of the questions were actually harder on Kaplan's than on the DAT, except for the perceptual ability, where I would recommend using the DAT bootcamp. I wish I would have done that because I've heard that it's like up to par with the DAT, PAT rather than Kaplan's.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I'd say spread it out, give yourself enough time, and if I moved my date a week back, and if you feel like that, then do it. Because you're ultimately yourself and you know how much time you need. So I would just listen to that and give yourself enough time.
So another quick question. So you said 3 weeks. Roughly, give me an estimate of how many hours per day you
I would
study.
say 10 to 12.
That's rough.
Yeah, it
So
was it was a rough time in my life, and I tried to block it out.
right. I'm sorry to have to bring you back to that again.
No, it's okay.
But okay. So obviously you did great on your DAT. Then you had the interview. So can you kind of walk us through what your interview day was like?
Okay. For Ohio State, it actually ended up being like one of the most laid back interviews for me. They set it up like speed dating.
Okay.
So you came into the room and you were going to be interviewed by like four different tables. So it was either a faculty member there or a student or both. And you had a little bit of time to read the bio before you sat down. So you read about the person who was going to interview you, see if you had, any starting off points that you could, start a conversation. And then you sat down, and I found that, I had a couple scenario-based questions where they were asking me what I would do in a certain situation that I had to respond to. But for the most part, they just wanted to know, who I was as a person. They wanted me to elaborate on some of the stuff from my application, mostly like, how my study abroad was, or what was I doing with my research. So I would say when you get to the interview, like they like your numbers. They want to know who you are as a person. They want to know, can you manage like your grades and still doing, extracurriculars. Like they want to see that, you are a person and that you would fit in not only grade wise, but like personality wise with their school, because ultimately as dentists, 90% of your job is going to be face to face with the patient. They need to trust you and feel comfortable with you. So it all starts, I'd say, in the interview there. So be relaxed, be yourself. That's going to be the best. Don't try and impress them with anything. You're there and you deserve to be there. So trust that and just kind of take the time to celebrate yourself.
Awesome. And how long was the actual interview? As far as not like the actual interview, but like the day.
Oh, okay. So it was, I'd say we got there like 7 and we left around 2.
Okay.
Lunch was provided, but like the actual interview portion, you got about 10 to 15 minutes with each of the interviewers. So the whole interview was about 45 minutes. And then they gave you lunch and gave you some general information, and then you got to go home.
Awesome. Okay. And you said that it was probably one of the most laid back interviews that you had.
Yes.
So obviously you had other interviews. And so I wanted to ask you, what kind of made you say, you know what, I choose Ohio State, this is where I want to go?
Yeah, so I think I just felt the most comfortable sitting there. I didn't feel like I was being grilled with questions. I really felt more just like a conversation. In a couple of the other interviews that I'd had, I just didn't feel comfortable. It felt like, I was in there and they were all like focused on me. Like it was a bunch of faculty and I was like at the head of the table and they were just like, like grilling me.
Right.
I know they weren't, but that's just what it felt like.
Right. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. At OSU, it literally felt like, you had 10 minutes to meet someone and try and make a connection, and it worked for me. I really liked that kind of laid back setting. So yeah, I felt comfortable right from the get-go.
Awesome. Okay. And so first year started, and I think for some reason, I think like a lot of schools are like changing their first year right now. I think maybe it has something to do with like boards and everything. But how was your first year as far as like didactics? Were you able to touch your hand speed or hand piece, excuse me?
Yeah.
Did you have any type of like clinical experience?
Okay. Yeah, so Ohio State starts you on the drill right from the beginning. I think we got our hand pieces like literally the second week of school, and started drilling on like a learner prep and then moved to teeth. But obviously your first year is going to be the adjustment year. So for me, I didn't find that it was the information that was harder. It was just the volume of information that was coming at you every day. And you had to balance that with, learning these hand skills that most people have never done before,
right.
Dental wise. So I think just like the learning curve is so steep your first year that it can be intimidating. But when you like really learn to manage your time, which is what I want to go back to with your first year, is like you learn all about time management and what works for you. You learn how to study smarter so that you can avoid burning out, because that's a very real possibility with dental school with the amount of information you're getting. So you really need to look at your mental health, your physical health, and like you need to take care of those as well as studying and stuff, because it really is just about learning to manage your time and you realize 24 hours is not a long time. You have so much stuff. But yeah, didactic wise, your first year is mostly about anatomy at Ohio State. That's like, I think with the 2 semesters, it's 15 credit hours. You do dissecting the second semester. So it's a little bit more. And so that's like the heavy course load with first year. Obviously, you have biochem and like, I'm trying to think, we had micro spring. And then you're in your lectures for your dental classes. So, you need to concentrate on your basic sciences because they seem to be worth more, at least for Ohio State's GPA. But I would say like learning the lectures for your dental classes actually will help you in lab, because sometimes practicing bad hand skills isn't going to help you. So you need to go back and learn, like, why am I making a prep this way? And that will transfer to your lab, like, because the hand skills are going to come, but you need to understand why you're doing certain stuff in the lab. So yeah, first year, very heavy didactic, but much about learning how to manage your time. And I'd say learning about self-care, realizing what you need as a stress relief.
I like that. That's good. That's great. Okay. And so what is unique about Ohio State? So, I mean, whether it be a certain class or, a certain attitude, granted, you haven't been to every dental school, but, what's something that is unique to your school?
Okay. Well, start out first. One of the reasons I was actually very excited to go to Ohio State was because they were getting ready to break ground on a brand new clinic. And our class of 2022 would be the first ones that got to work in it. So that was a very big selling point, brand new clinic. And from our first time, we got electric handpieces. So I've never really drilled with air, but that was like the brand new shiny thing. Like we got to have electric handpieces and we were going to get a new clinic. So the whole time I've been in school, we've been surrounded by construction. So it hasn't really felt like a school. Like you're going around all this construction every day to get in. All of the construction going on while you're in class. So I think, when we finally do get in that clinic, which they're still building it now, so maybe it'll be done by the time we get to go back to school, will be really, really special for our class, because I know it's been very looked forward to. And then I'd say something else that's special about Ohio State is that it really, you really focus on the patient clinical wise. It's not as research based, like it still is, but they really focus on the clinical skills. And Ohio State is so big that we have every single specialty there. So you get the opportunity to go around rotations into all of these specialties and even get some hands-on experience. So I think that's something that's unique to Ohio State, because I know that a lot of dental schools don't have every single specialty at their school, but us being a very large university, we get to have those resources.
Amazing. Okay. And the last question of the interview. Yeah. So like you said, you are a D2.
Yes.
So if you could actually go back in time when you were actually applying to dental school, what's one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Oh gosh. Okay. I think it would definitely be to learn to let things go and to trust and celebrate in yourself. Like, you've made it this far. And I think, the people who apply to dental school, we're type A personalities. We are overachievers. We see all the negatives in what we do and we rarely celebrate our successes. So, there's going to be a lot of times throughout your dental school career that you're going to feel like you just can't win. You're going to feel inadequate. And like, sometimes even you're going to wonder if you deserve to be there. The answer is yes, you do. I know I personally beat myself up a lot when I know I could have practiced more for a practical or studied more for a test, but like in reality, those things don't matter. So I would say you have to remember why you went into the dental field. Like, why do you want to be a dentist in the first place? Because when you're applying for school, you're so excited, and that initial excitement is gonna fade or even leave when you're getting killed by these classes for the first 2 years. So remember your why, because a lot of us are going in, we get to treat patients and we get to make them healthy and confident about their smiles. And that's really what matters at the end of the day. So yeah, remember your why, learn to be kind to yourself, even when you make mistakes, because life really does go on and you're not even going to remember that, when you're a dentist and you're practicing. So
Right.
yeah, trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and remember why you went into it.
Look, that was awesome. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Kristine,
Thank you.
for speaking with us today. If any of our viewers have any questions, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can definitely message me at any time through my Instagram. It's just my name, Kristine, Kristine, Byrum, Byrum, or they can reach out with an email. It's my last name, .35@osu.edu.
Awesome, awesome. And of course, I'll put those in the description box below.
Perfect.
But once again, Kristine, thank you so much. From the Future DDS family, we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys reaching out. I'm glad I could help.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody, if you all have not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. If you have any questions for us over at FutureDDS, you can shoot us a DM on Instagram at _FutureDDS, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But until next time, see y'all later.